Well, I'm a bit reluctant to say it's a good idea simply because if you haven't played since Christmas Day and you've been out nearly 2 months and your first time back is against the reigning defending two-time NBA champions, well, you know, considering the kind of heat that's coming their way as it pertains to LeBron James, out to prove that he's still worthy of strong MVP consideration, of course, tired of all the noise about Kevin Durant, then obviously it's one of those situations where you're saying to yourself, Russell Westbrook doesn't need to necessarily come back because you've got to be in cruise control incrementally or modularly just push yourself into big-time competition as opposed to just embracing it out of the gate. I think it's an incredible challenge for him. But if anybody's got the personality and the makeup to handle such a challenge, to want such a challenge, it would be somebody like Russell Westbrook. So I'm not going to knock him for doing so because clearly he's got the heart of a lion. He's not scared of anything. He wants it bad himself. But at the same time, you kind of wonder whether or not your first game back is against the two-time reigning defending NBA champions. I don't know what to make of it. I wouldn't advise it, but if I were to advise it for anybody, it would be Russell Westbrook because he's got that kind of talent and that kind of heart. I'm just not sure it's the wisest thing to do, but again, he's the kind of guy that can pull it off, so I'm not going to knock him for it, no doubt.
Is your concern about re-injury against the Miami Heat because it's going to be a game played at a higher level than most regular season games?
Well, to some degree, yes, because I think that once you go up against elite competition, you try to be elite when you know that's customarily your position. Russell Westbrook is one of the top 10 players in the NBA. He's arguably the most athletic point guard. It's a debate between him and Derrick Rose. The most athletic point guard in NBA history. And we know what offensive juggernaut he can be when he's on his game. But when you're coming out of the gate, Skip, you know, you've got to really modify what you do and how you go about doing it. You got to incrementally and gradually go about the business of returning to your old self. And I just question whether or not Russell Westbrook's going to be able to do that in a game like this. He might come out the gate like a gangbuster, and I'm not sure that's wise. But that's just me.
I hear what you're saying, but I disagree with what you're saying. I have zero problem with Russell playing on Thursday night at home on the TNT national stage against the Miami Heat. What I can't speak to is your thought about re-injury concern. I still don't get what happened to Russell Westbrook. I thought that it would be a pretty simple operation last playoffs when, as you remember early on against Houston, first round of the playoffs, Russell tore his medial meniscus. I've said before on the show, I've had the same surgery 3 different times. Not that big a deal, but it became a big deal for Russell, and I don't know why, Stephen A. And then he re-injured it and needed more surgery, as you talked about, lost on Christmas Day for a couple of more months. So I don't know the state of his knee, but I do know the state of his psyche, and as you say, he is fearless to a fault. I say that the story of the NBA stretch run is how quickly Russell Westbrook can relearn to play with the new Kevin Durant, the guy that we saw explode on the NBA in his 7th season as the devastating force that we all kept waiting for him to become through his first 6 NBA seasons. And Stephen A., as you well know, I'm just going to throw out the numbers again. He turned it around early January and led his team on a 15-2 run to the All-Star break. And during those 17 games, he did miss the one at Boston. So in 16 of those 17, Kevin Durant averaged 35.4 points a game, 7.1 rebounds, and this is the most staggering stat of all to me, he almost averaged 7 assists per game. So he was absolutely dominating the league for the last month in ways he has never dominated before. So the question I have is, as Reggie Jackson came of age through this run, Jeremy Lamb, the guy you love, came off the bench and started to really find himself. I thought Serge Ibaka took it up another level as he came more of age. And now, all of a sudden, you're throwing in a Russell Westbrook who loves to shoot the basketball. This is the story of the league right now. And to me, if I'm Scotty Brooks, I'm saying I want to throw Russ back into the cauldron. into the Heat, into TNT national TV. I'm ready to just find out, because the quicker they figure it out, the better off this team will be. I know you love this team. We're going to talk more about this later. This is one reason I don't love this team, because I'm not sure about the chemical imbalance that I think will result. So to me, sooner the better. And the Heat aren't exactly suffocating on defense right now. As you know, they rank only 10th in the NBA on defense, which is a far cry from what they have been the last couple of years. So I think, Russell, I don't think you got to play him high minutes, but you can throw him into this fire, because I don't think this fire is very hot. And I remind you, last point, that recently at Miami, the KD-led Thunder destroyed the Miami Heat. So I'm saying throw him back in.
I will tell you this. I hear where you're coming from. I can understand that. And it is a big story. I mean, when you look at Oklahoma City, they've got a whole bunch of stories. I think Scott Brooks is a Coach of the Year candidate with the job that he's been able to do, because it's one thing for Kevin Durant to be going ballistic. It's another thing entirely for everybody around Kevin Durant to look better than they looked a year ago. Jeremy Lamb spent some time in the D-League a year ago. He's vastly improved. Yep. I'm not just a fan of his. I'm a fan of Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson has been balling. I love his game. I love his heart, okay? I love this guy. So, to me, I look at his development. I look at the evolution of Serge Ibaka and the way that he's looked and the way that he's been playing. He deserves a boatload of credit. Everywhere you turn, you see guys around Kevin Durant that have improved.